Good morning and welcome to the August Public Safety Media Briefing. I am Chief Roundtree of the Winston-Salem Police Department. Our order for the day will be the Police Department, followed by Chief Mayo of the Winston-Salem Fire Department, and Mel Sattler with Emergency Management. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department for all your hard work and dedication and what you do for the citizens of Winston-Salem and the Winston-Salem Police Department. We'll start our portion with our officers' remembrance, as customary for the Winston-Salem Police Department. For the month of August, we do have Patrolman Gurney L. Royal and Patrolman Garland Anderson, who were killed on the line of duty. Patrolman Gurney Royal in the watch, Friday, August the 1st, 1941. Cause of death was gunfire. The date of incident was August the 1st, 1941. Patrolman Royal was shot and killed with his own service weapon after he and his partner, Patrolman Paul Blackburn, responded to a disturbance call at 3rd and Church Street in front of the Lincoln Theater. The suspect was able to gain control of Royal's weapon, and he fired it 5 times. The 4th shot struck Royal in the head, killing him instantly. Next, we have Patrolman Thomas Garland Anderson in the watch, Monday, August the 15th, 1927. Incident details: the cause of death was a motorcycle accident. This occurred on Thursday, August the 11th, 1927. Patrolman Anderson was involved in a motorcycle accident at 11th Street and Highland Avenue while responding to a vehicle accident on August 11, 1927, and he died from his injuries on August the 15th, 1927. Let us all pause for a moment as we remember Patrolman Royal and Patrolman Anderson, as well as all law enforcement officers who have lost their lives while serving during the month of August. Let us pause for a moment. Thank you. Our topics today will include the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Crime Stoppers program that will be presented by Detective David McClure. Also, back to school driving and back to school safety will be done by Lieutenant Mike Weaver and Officer Angie McCon. We also have auto break-ins that will be provided by Investigator Horsley. And we have a segment on securing your firearms from juveniles by Assistant Chief Scott Brooker, as well as Forensic Science Week, which will be presented by Assistant Chief Scott Brooker. And I'll come back to speak a little bit about recruiting and some upcoming events and programs that the police department is doing. Detective McClure.
Good evening. I just want to speak briefly about Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a way for citizens in the community to report information on criminal activity anonymously. You can call Crime Stoppers at 336-727-2800. For Spanish, you can call Crime Stoppers at 336-728-3904. You can also text Crime Stoppers. You can text Crime Stoppers by texting to 274-637, and at the beginning of your message, just enter the word "bite back." That's our key phrase that automatically sends it to our Crime Stoppers program, and then type your message to send it to Crime Stoppers. You can also go to the Winston-Salem Police Department's website and click on the Crime Stoppers link and submit a web tip from the police department's website, and that will directly come to Crime Stoppers in the form of an email. I would also like to stress that we don't want, in cases of emergency, to please call 911. We don't want a situation that requires an emergency response by police to be delayed by calling or texting Crime Stoppers. Basically, when you call Crime Stoppers, the Crime Stoppers program, you don't have to give your name. we give you an identification number. That number is how you identify yourself to Crime Stoppers. The information you provide is then forwarded to the appropriate division or agency to be investigated. After you've reported the information to Crime Stoppers, you call periodically with your identification number back to Crime Stoppers to check the status of the information you reported. If the information you reported leads to an arrest, recovery of stolen property, or the seizure of illegal drugs, then you could get a reward of up to $2,000. In 2015, Crime Stoppers were responsible for the clearing of 150 cases that resulted in 104 persons being arrested on 194 felony and 227 misdemeanor charges. Drugs in the amount of $1,116,576 and property in the amount of $148,237 was seized. The Crime Stoppers Board approved $21,800 in rewards in 2015. The Crime Stoppers Board also approved a minimum reward of $500 for gun cases in the schools in 2015. In 2016 so far, the Crime Stoppers program has cleared 75 cases that have resulted in 51 persons being arrested on 124 felony and 117 misdemeanor charges. Drugs in the amount of $626,175 and property in the amount of $110,984 has been seized. The Crime Stoppers Board has approved $13,950 in rewards thus far in 2016. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. Richard Sawyer, who is the chairman of the Crime Stoppers Board, to speak briefly. Mr. Sawyer.
Thanks, Detective McClure. I'd like to start out on behalf of the board and thank you for all that you do to make our program successful. We really appreciate that. And wanted to remind everybody that Crime Stoppers is governed by a civilian board made up from board members from across the community. And we do, the civilian board does approve all rewards. The Crime Stoppers program receives no government funding or tax dollars to pay rewards. The rewards are paid through donations from businesses, civic groups, and citizens in the community. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the businesses, civic groups, and citizens that have donated to Crime Stoppers over the years that makes it possible to do what we do to help keep the community safer. So, Detective McClure.
Does anybody have any questions?
Detective, have Crime Stoppers just led to a solving a homicide case, a murder case?
They have over the years, yes.
What about in recent years, last year or this year?
I'm not sure. I don't have the specific stats with me on that.
All those figures that you just gave, what area of Crime Stoppers do they pertain to? I mean, not just here, not just in Winston-Salem.
Our Crime Stoppers program is for all of Forsyth County. So anything we provide information or take information for the Sheriff's Department, ABC, any law enforcement agency within Forsyth County and refer that information to them. We also take information if we get a call from an outside jurisdiction, say, for instance, on a homicide. We'll go ahead and take that information but refer the caller to that jurisdiction to give the information. But we still go ahead and take it and forward it on and let them know that they're going to be calling them. Any more questions? All right, at this point I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Weaver and Officer McCon. They're going to talk about back-to-school driving and school safety.
Thank you, David. As stated, my name is Mike Weaver. I'm a lieutenant with the Winston-Salem Police Department, currently assigned to the Educational Services Unit. The Educational Services Unit of the Police Department consists of 20 officers. We provide an SRO, which is a school resource officer, in each of the 9 high schools throughout the county and 11 middle schools. In addition to that, we have 7 Super Kids officers who provide services to the 43 elementary schools across the county. Super Kids basically talk and deliver programs to kindergarten to 5th graders about bullying, leadership, and drug awareness. We have a very effective partnership with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, but in order to enhance that, we also need parental involvement. So on parental involvement, things I would ask you to do as you're returning to school this year, and school starts August 29th, it's just right around the corner. Parents, be involved with your kids, know what they are doing, monitor their social media sites, know their friends. If you come across something alarming, please notify a law enforcement agency. All three agencies in the county, Kernersville, the Sheriff's Department, and Winston-Salem Police Department, we communicate with each other as well as the school system so we can provide a safe learning environment. So we urge you, please exchange information as you come across it. It doesn't have to be during the day. You don't have to wait for a school day to report that. You can make that notification anytime, 24/7, and we will look into it. Also, parents, I would urge you, if your children walk to or from a school bus stop, going or come from school, walk that route with them before school starts so you know the hazardous locations. Encourage them, walk on the sidewalks, use crosswalks, and avoid, abandoned houses or other potential hazards. Something else too, coming to school, kids over the weekends, they use backpacks for different things, book bags. They may accidentally leave something in that bag that is not allowed in school. So be sure that nothing's accidentally brought to school that could get them in trouble. For instance, a pocket knife on a camping trip or a Boy Scout outing. As far as coming to and from bus stops, something else I would encourage, walk with a friend. Don't walk by yourself. It's always good to have somebody with you. As stated earlier, the SROs are assigned at the high schools and middle schools. I would strongly encourage you and your family and your child at the school, get to know your SRO. That's one of the things they're there to do, is to form a relationship both at school and away from school in the community. So encourage them, exchange, get to know one another. And they are a very valuable resource that can provide a lot of direction and assistance to the student and your family. The last thing I'd like to talk about is an app and keeping up with technology. This is something that the Winston-Salem and Forsyth County Schools is setting out this year. It's sponsored by the North Carolina Center for Safer Schools. This is an app that can be downloaded to your iPhone. It is truly anonymous, just like the presentation on Crime Stoppers. And this is where students can provide tips on bullying, a weapon at school, prearranged fights, narcotics, drinking, anything like that. And this is truly anonymous to the extent that the database is housed outside the United States. So it is truly anonymous. I would refer you to the school system for further information on that. But the SROs and Super Kids are on this same application. So when that tip is submitted, and you can sign up for the specific school where your student goes, police department and the school administration are notified immediately. This is a real-time thing, so we can follow up on it at that moment. These brochures and information how to download it are posted at all the schools, so I would strongly encourage students to take advantage of this opportunity. Something else, one of our biggest problems is the loss or the theft of cell phones. Please encourage, if they're going to bring a cell phone to school, be sure you download the Where's My Phone app. So in the event it is stolen, we can track that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. At this time, I'd like to introduce Officer McCon, who's going to talk about some school bus traffic safety tips.
Good morning. As a few people said, my name is Officer McCon, and I currently work in our department's traffic enforcement unit. Part of the duties of our unit is to follow up on school bus stop arm violations. And as summer break comes to an end for our children, it's time for them to get ready to go back to school. They go shop for new clothes, new book bags, necessary school supplies, go visit new teachers, possibly new schools. One thing they don't get ready for is to be hit by a vehicle because the driver is distracted, in a hurry, or just not paying attention. So therefore, today I'm going to talk a little bit about school bus safety and stop arm violations. The North Carolina General Statute 2127 states, when a school bus is displaying its mechanical stop signal and flashing red lights, and the bus is stopped for the purpose of receiving or discharging passengers, the driver of another vehicle that approaches the school bus from any direction on the same street, highway, or public vehicular area shall bring that other vehicle to a full stop and remain stopped. The driver of the other vehicle shall not proceed to move, pass, or attempt to pass the school bus after the mechanical stop signal has been, until the mechanical stop signal has been withdrawn, the flashing red lights have been turned off, and the bus has started to move. Here in Winston-Salem, we have several different types of roadway construction, and based on which roadway you're on will determine how and if you should stop. So I'm going to show a few of the diagrams, if you can see those, that should help with this. If you're on a 2-lane roadway, when a school bus stops for passengers, all traffic in both directions must stop. 2-lane roadway with a center turn lane, same as a 2-lane roadway without. When the school bus stops for passengers, all traffic in both directions must stop. 4-lane roadway, when a school bus stops for passengers, all traffic in both directions must stop. And this is where it changes a little bit. When you have 4 or more lanes with a turn lane, when a school bus is stopped for discharging passengers or picking up passengers, only traffic following the school bus has to stop. And the same thing with 4 more lanes with a median. Only the vehicles behind the school bus must stop. According to the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, it's estimated that nearly 3,000 vehicles illegally pass stop school buses daily. Last year, nearly 1,300 drivers in North Carolina were charged with passing a stop school bus. In the 2014-2015 school year, 5 children in North Carolina were injured getting on or off a school bus. And since 1999 in North Carolina, 13 children have been killed getting on or off a school bus. Here in Winston-Salem, we have 2 of those statistics. Back in 1999, a child was killed when he was crossing the street to get on a bus, and a vehicle decided to pass the stop school bus and struck the child. In 2012, a child was injured when a vehicle passed the stop school bus as they were crossing the street, and the side mirror hit her in the face. When a person is charged with passing a stop school bus in Forsyth County, it's a mandatory court appearance. The charge is a misdemeanor. A person can be fined a minimum of $500, and it places 5 points on your driver's license. Although all these things should be considered when obeying the school bus stop arm, the greatest consideration should be the safety of our children. The school bus drivers are also helping with protecting children by using a standard crossing system. The school bus driver will have some responsibility when telling the children when it's safe to cross. The student is supposed to wait for the driver to signal them after the driver has looked to make sure that it's safe before they cross. In the upcoming weeks as school starts, the traffic enforcement unit will be out in the school zone area doing strict zero-tolerance enforcement. Some of that enforcement is going to include monitoring speed in school zones, as well as using some undercover vehicles to follow the school buses to catch the stop arm violations. So let us all as drivers assist with keeping the children safe in the upcoming school year by obeying the stop arms and also calling in any violations you see. Just remember, when you call in any violations, give us as much information as possible so that we can follow up on that. Is there any questions? Okay. Now I'd like to introduce Investigator Horsley, who's going to talk about some auto break-ins.
Good morning. Once again, I'm Investigator Horsley of the Winston-Salem Police Department, and I'm going to briefly talk again about not being a victim of an auto break-in or a larceny of automobile by locking your doors and leaving your valuables out of your vehicle when you're not in it. The biggest thing this month is to also remember not to leave your car running with your keys in the vehicle. That's the easiest way to get your vehicle stolen. I'm going to show a video right now that was shot by Assistant Chief Thompson as she was out in the community.
picture of a vehicle with a dog, no human inside. You should be able to hear the cars running. And it's in
If you notice in both of those, both the windows were down. And in the short amount of time it took the assistant chief to shoot that video, a thief can get in and actually take the vehicle and be gone before you even know it. That small amount of time to shoot the video is about the time it takes to steal a vehicle left like that. The other thing I want to reiterate too is yes, the vehicle was down, the car was running, but try not to leave your pets in the vehicle even if you do that, because it leaves two different things. It can still get extremely hot in there for the animal, as well as the fact that your vehicle's left exposed. And again, just not leaving any type of valuables, not just your animals, but any other type of valuables unsecured in the vehicle is also a good way to be a victim. Is there any other questions?
Have the break-ins slowed at all?
They're progressively the same. There's not been a tremendous rise or a tremendous fall. It's been the same throughout the summer. We are having a summer of vehicles being left unlocked and being broken into, yes.
Did the driver come back to the car where the dog was in it?
I do not know that.
And was the air conditioning on?
That
I'm
I can't.
assuming that's why the car was running with the dog in it.
I couldn't tell you because when it was shot, I think Assistant Chief shot it from her car, so. Is there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'd like to introduce Assistant Chief Bricker. He's going to be speaking briefly on securing your firearms from juveniles, as well as going over Forensic Science Week.
Thank you, Stephen. Today, my name's Assistant Chief Bricker, by the way. I'm the Assistant Chief over the Support Services Bureau, and I'm also one of the Police Department's firearms instructors. We want to discuss the importance of firearms owners to secure their weapons from children. Though children are being injured or killed from firearms still rank significantly less than accidents involving transportation, like car wrecks or pedestrian accidents, pools, poisoning incidents, and then also fires. We do want to highlight the dangers of leaving a firearm unsecure in your residence. Owning a firearm means you need to take full-time responsibility for your weapon, its safety, and its security. First thing I want to do is talk about North Carolina General Statute 14315.1. Any person who resides in the same premises as a minor, owns or possesses a firearm, and stores or leaves the firearm in a condition that the firearm can be discharged, and in a manner that the person knew or should have known that an unsupervised minor would be able to gain access to the firearm, is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor if the minor gains access to the firearm without the lawful permission of the minor's parents or the person having charge of the minor, and then the minor has to do one of four things for the adult to be charged. The first is possess it in violation of 14-269.2. Now 14-269.2 is the statute that bars any type of weapon to be taken on educational property, whether the local school or a university, community college, things of that nature. The second would be to exhibit it in a public place in a careless, angry, or threatening manner. Third would be to either cause personal injury or death with it, not in self-defense. And then finally, if they use it in the commission of any crime. So again, with the earlier part of the statute, the minor actually has to gain possession of it and then do one of these four things to be actually where the adult is charged with the violation of the firearms safety and security statute. Now, I do want to make a notation in that the section does not apply if the minor obtained the firearm through any type of unlawful entry by any person. In other words, if the minor came in possession of the weapon as a result of someone breaking into someone's residence and obtaining that weapon. then of course that person, the owner of the weapon, the victim of a crime, of a break-in, would not be liable for the minor having access to the weapon in that circumstance. And then it's also important to highlight that minor for this statute is anyone under the age of 18 as it pertains to the firearms laws. Now let's talk about what we can do to minimize the dangers. Parents need to educate their kids on the dangers of firearms. They need to emphasize to children that real guns are not toys and that life is not a video game. Most children, and especially young children, cannot differentiate between a real gun and a toy. And so, with that being said, the parent needs to make sure that they talk to their kids and explain the vital difference in the fact that what they see on television isn't necessarily reality. It's also proven that through various studies that most children will often disregard a direct order from a parent due to their curiosity and they also need to discuss the fatal consequences that occur if a weapon fires and that weapon or that projectile hits a person. Parents need to ensure that they are not also fooled by two assumptions. The first assumption is that a small child does not have the ability to pull the trigger of a weapon. Most weapons require less than 9 pounds of pressure to actually engage the trigger and cause the weapon to fire. Parents also need to not be fooled by the second assumption, and that is that they can hide their weapons to where their children can't gain access to them. Folks, there's no such thing as a hiding place from a child, especially when it comes to terms of a weapon. Again, this has been proven numerous times to be not true through the studies and then also through, unfortunately, the serious death and injuries of children that occur every year. Responsible firearms owners need to consider and possibly take some type of a firearm safety course like a hunter education program that's offered by the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. Or there's also a very good program available through the National Rifle Association. There's also programs through Project Child Safe. Now, Project Child Safe is a nonprofit organization that's partnered with law enforcement to promote firearm safety and partners with us in all 50 states. And what Project Child Safe does is they offer child safety locks similar to a trigger guard lock or a cable lock, and these are offered free of charge in addition with a brochure. We do partner with Project Child Safe at the Winston-Salem Police Department, and we have given out these cable locks in the past at different special events. I'd like to talk about a few other options that are available to you to secure your weapon. There's trigger guard locks, as I mentioned. The trigger guard lock is actually a small device, and I've got a picture I'll show you in a moment that can be installed on the trigger guard of the weapon. It's to be installed on an unloaded weapon. That's the point I need to make about all of these safety features or these locks, is that they're to be installed on unloaded firearms only. Another option outside of a cable lock and a trigger guard lock is to use a lockbox or a gun safe. And then these are the pictures, as I mentioned. That's a trigger guard lock installed on a pistol. This is a cable lock, similar to what I talked about with Project Child Safe. The cable lock, as you see, is actually in the ejection port, and then secured around down through the magazine well of the pistol. That renders the weapon not only empty and safe, but it's also made inoperable that way. There's lock boxes that are available. There's different configurations of those. Some involve a combination lock. Some involve some type of a combination with a number combination, or you can lock it up with some other type of a locking mechanism. And then there's obviously gun safes that are highly recommended to secure your weapons. The cost of prevention, it doesn't cost anything to not have a gun in the house, and I encourage our firearms owners, as I mentioned, to be responsible. If you are a gun owner, you need to know safe weapons handling. We don't dabble in firearms ownership. We need to make sure that we understand the principles, the handling techniques, cardinal rules. So it doesn't cost anything to not have a gun in the house. Trigger guard locks and cable locks, they can range in being free, as I mentioned, through Project Child Safe to maybe around $10, depending on where you're buying them from. As you see, a lockable cabinet will range in price from $30 to $50. Home firearm safety training, again, I recommend if our firearms owners do not have any experience with weapons, they should take a safety course. Those are available from private vendors, private ranges, the National Rifle Association, and many other options. Those courses are $50 to $100, as I mentioned. A fire-resistant safe, which is probably the safest bet for most firearms owners to protect their loved ones and also their investment, is about $1,500 for a good safe. And as I put at the bottom, the cost of preventing a child's death is, of course, priceless. So these are important things for us to consider. I had our crime analysis unit gather a few local statistics. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is not a significant issue in our community, but like anything else, if we can prevent the death or serious injury of one child or one person in our community, then we need to discuss it. These are charges related to that storage of firearms statute, as I mentioned. This is not a charge that we frequently charge individuals with, but we have had a few occasions. An example from this year would be a dad that left a handgun unsecure in his bedroom. His child was able to gain access to that firearm in his bedroom and shot himself in the leg with it. So we ended up charging dad with that improper storage of firearms. Here's some stats on the accidental shootings. We've been fortunate with those here in our area as well. The one that I did just mention is our only stat from 2016. There's a couple in 2014, basically same type of circumstance. One of those was a child that gained access to his grandmother's pistol that she had in the house for protection. They didn't know the weapon was loaded and also shot themselves in the leg. And then these are some, just to give you an idea of some of the other charges that we have. We have 14269.7, which is the minor possession of a handgun. This would fall into if a child under the age of 18 was in possession of a pistol. And you see that the number of charges we've had. Any questions pertaining to the storage of firearms and safety? All right, we'll change gears here. As I mentioned, I'm over the Support Services Bureau, and so I have the privilege of supervising the Forensic Services Division. And today is one of our midweek dates of celebrating our Forensic Science Week. The actual dates of the week are August 7th through 2016. And this week is set aside for National Forensic Science Week, in recognition of the critical role that forensic science plays in investigating crimes throughout the country. From exonerating the innocent to identifying the guilty, many organizations are proud to recognize these professionals that serve communities in this vital role. The International Association of Chiefs of Police, along with the major cities' chiefs of police, the Association of State Criminal Investigative Agencies, the major county sheriff's associations, and the consortium of forensic science organizations are proud to recognize the significant contribution of forensic science professionals in the cause of justice throughout the country. From crime scene processing to fingerprints to firearms comparisons to DNA analysis to digital forensics, forensics professionals provide law enforcement with reliable investigative leads. This slide provides an overview of who we are in forensics. The 44 civilian employees of the Winston-Salem Police Department's Forensic Services Division are assigned, as I mentioned, to the Support Services Bureau and work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, providing forensic processing services. The division consists of the following components. We have call response squads. There's 2 permanent day squads and 2 permanent night squads, 27 forensic service technicians, and 4 supervisors who are assigned to those squads and respond to various calls for service such as vandalism, breaking and entering to businesses, residences, and vehicles. They also respond to assaults, robberies, etc. Their primary duties include videotaping, photographing, crime scene sketching, evidence identification, collection and preservation of evidence, latent print processing, and these are just a few of the items that they do. They're jack of all trades for sure. Technicians also provide these services at fire scenes by assisting our brothers and sisters in the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Forensic service technicians are also trained to perform duties of police processing. We also have, as I mentioned, a processing unit. A police processing technician is assigned to each of the 4 call response squads, with a 5th PPT, as we call them, to assist where needed. They're assigned to police processing unit located at the Forsyth County Law Enforcement Detention Center, and their primary duties involve fingerprinting, photographing, and collecting DNA from arrestees, administrating intoximeter tests to suspected impaired drivers, and also completing data entry. Police processing technicians process on average 12,000 arrestees annually, and they administer 300 intoximeter tests on average and collect DNA swabs from over the last few years, an average of 240. We also have a firearms and tool mark examiner section, and their duties are to examine firearms for functionality, and they also analyze ammunition components in order to determine where they were fired from and what particular firearm or from a similar firearm. These 2 examiners also perform serial number restorations, mechanical tool mark examinations, shooting reconstruction, and distance determination. Hundreds of firearms are seized annually, and the majority are test fired for further analysis. Firearm and tool mark examiners are specialized positions and require significant training and experience in order to obtain a certification within this forensic discipline. We also have a latent print examiner office that's staffed by 4 latent print examiners and also a supervisor. These positions also require significant training and experience in order to obtain certification at various forensic disciplines. On average, 8,500 prints of value are lifted annually from crime scenes. Now, those are lifted by our forensic service techs. And then of those prints, nearly 1,200 are identified on average by our latent print examiners. The last specialty unit we have within forensics is called our Major Crime Response Team. and they're comprised of 4 members. These technicians have received advanced training in areas of crime scene processing and work very closely with members of our Criminal Investigations Division. These members rotate on-call responsibilities and respond to major crime scenes and their investigative follow-up investigations. Personnel of this team also handle many administrative tasks, such as managing our photo lab. In addition to major crime scene processing and an important role that our major crime response team has in supporting activities in our community, is they offer a student shadowing program. They also participate in a Boy Scout merit badge program. They also provide forensic presentations throughout the year at several institutions and groups such as the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, Winston-Salem State, Leadership Winston-Salem, the Winston-Salem Police Department's Citizen Police Academy, and also our Youth Citizens Police Academy. Now that piece of paper right there required a bunch of effort by our dedicated staff. We just went through what was called a laboratory accreditation for the first time. To ensure the best possible services, the state of North Carolina requires accreditation for all laboratories that conduct forensic science services. After months of preparation, our department's division, Forensics Division, had their on-site accreditation in May of this year. The division received high ratings and successfully completed all requirements for accreditation. Forensic Services Management System conformed to all the requirements, and accreditation was granted in the 3 forensic disciplines, as I mentioned before, of latent prints, crime scene, and firearm and tool marks. Now, something that just started in July of this year is that our Forensic Services Division began call response to support the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. So the Forensic Services Division provides the same forensic processing duties that they do for our department. They also do it now for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Department. Now, this unit is not in our forensics division, but they deserve just as much credit. In fact, they're extremely dedicated, limited staff that we have, but they're our computer forensics unit in our Investigative Services Bureau. Personnel of the Computer Forensics Unit of the Investigative Services Bureau, Criminal Investigations Division, are responsible for examining digital media in forensically sound manner with the aim of identifying, preserving, recovering, and analyzing digital evidence. In many cases, digital evidence has been the key to establishing investigative leads, arrests, and convictions. During this year alone, personnel with our Computer Forensics Unit has worked hand in hand with investigators to link crimes, evidence, scenes, and persons to aid in the investigation of countless crimes. During 2015, this unit spent well over 700 hours processing and examination requests of computers and mobile phones, in addition to requests to retrieve surveillance recordings from businesses and residences. An awesome job, and also a very tedious one. Since October of 2012, our department has also been a member of the North Carolina Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We call this ICAC. This task force consists of numerous law enforcement agencies that work closely with the SBI as well as federal authorities in the suppression and prosecution of online sexual exploitation of children. In May of 2016, our Criminal Investigations Division dedicated an ICAC office to enhance its ability to conduct these sensitive investigations. Members of our ICAC task force are responsible not only for conducting investigations that are reported to our agency, but also initiating investigations that target individuals who participate in the manufacture, distribution, and electronic downloading or viewing of child pornography. In addition, the ICAC unit investigates cyber tips received via the SBI and also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Finally, in late 2014, the City of Winston-Salem contracted services with NMS Laboratory. This on-site, outsourced, accredited laboratory established operations in Winston-Salem and began analyzing alcohol concentration in blood and then also analyzing solid drugs. Of August 2015 is when we started that. Their turnaround time on alcohol testing is 1 week, and for drug analyses, it's up to 2 weeks, depending on the volume of the testing and the specific charges. This has greatly increased our overall effectiveness and as a law enforcement agency, and has also expedited the justice system. Since August of 2015, and these slides we obtained from NMS Labs, we've had hundreds. You can see every month there's a large volume of cases. This is for the blood alcohol tests. And then this is for our drug analysis that NMS does. So hundreds of cases have been adjudicated more swiftly as a result of our relationship with NMS. To close all this, again, we're right in the middle of National Forensic Science Week, and I think with what I just explained, our forensic service staff, our criminal investigations divisions unit related to computer crime, computer forensics unit, and then also our dedicated partners with NMS all deserve a round of applause for all their great efforts and dedication. Please join me in that. Now, I will take some questions if anybody has any. I'm not the forensics expert, I'm just over the unit as the assistant chief. So if you have specialized questions about any of these units, I can definitely get you to speak with the staff that are responsible for those areas. Any general questions, though? Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention, and I'll turn it back over to Chief Roundtree.
We're going to close out our session very briefly, just spotlighting our recruiting efforts. We're allocated about 570 positions. Currently, right now, we're deployed with 531, so we have 39 vacancies. So what I'm saying is that we have numerous positions. Anyone out there listening, there's a lot of people speaking about what police officers need to do and the difference that they can make. So what I'm asking is that you get off your couch, pick up your laptop or your cell phone, and apply for some of these positions that I'm gonna go over here in a few minutes. Currently, we have 16 in basic law enforcement training. That's class 70. They're projected to graduate on February 3rd, 2017. We're accepting applications for class 71. Class 71 will start around February 2017. There are several tests that you have to take to meet the requirements to be a police officer. One of them is the Adult Basic Education test, the TABE test. These some additional qualifications. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be at least 20, at least 20. And you can be 55, you can be 60 to start, but you have to be at least 20 to start. You have to have at least a high school diploma, be in good physical condition, no felonies or serious misdemeanors, no DWI convictions within the past 5 years, and you have to possess or be able to possess a North Carolina driver's license. We also have non-sworn positions in our communications division, forensic science that you just heard about, records division, evidence management, and our information technology division. Not going to read all the slides, but you can apply at www.cityofwinston-salem.org for any of the vacant positions that I just spoke about. Also, you can look at these positions also on our social media sites, which are listed, YouTube, Facebook, and several others. Also, just to close out today, we are sponsoring a back-to-school book bag school supply giveaway that's currently occurring right now from 10 to 12, and it's at our Winston Mutual location. So anyone that's out there listening, if your kids are in need of a school supplies, a backpack, or giveaway, you still have an opportunity to go down to the Winston Mutual building here today. At this point, that's all the police department's items, so I'll invite to the podium Chief Trey Mayo.
Good morning, I'm Trey Mayo. I'm the fire chief for the city of Winston-Salem. We're going to have a briefer presentation this morning in the police department. The first thing I'd like to do is we're going to recognize a few of our, just a few of our hundreds of outstanding employees. And the first person I would like to call up this morning is firefighter Cliff Jones. Here he is. I was looking for him where he was sitting. He snuck up on me. Come on up, Cliff. Stand right over here, if you will. So Cliff, on June 26th, was at a church picnic and at one of his fellow congregants' houses, and that house had a swimming pool. And at some point in the afternoon's activities, someone started screaming from the area of the swimming pool. And as firefighters are trained to do, Cliff took action to investigate what the potential crisis might be. And when he arrived at the side of the swimming pool, another adult was coming to the surface with a 12-year-old drowning victim. Cliff used his medical training that we provide him as a member of the Winston-Salem Fire Department. He assessed the patient. He determined that the victim was unconscious, was not breathing, and had no pulse. He instructed a bystander to activate the 911 system, and he began CPR. Care was taken over by a fire unit from the city of Winston-Salem, and then care was transferred to Forsyth County EMS for transport of the victim to Baptist Hospital. The victim spent 5 nights in the hospital, but as a result of firefighter Jones's actions, was discharged neurologically intact and is living a normal life today. So in recognition of firefighter Jones's actions, we're presenting him with this certificate of commendation that reads, "You are hereby recognized and applauded for your quick and decisive emergency actions that saved the life of a 12-year-old drowning victim on June 26, 2016. Firefighter Jones will also receive a ribbon to wear on his uniform. You see he has one now that has 2 crosses on it. He's been involved in 2 life-saving actions in the past. This will be his 3rd. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chief Mayo.
Thank you for everything you did.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Firefighter Jones before he leaves the stage?
Have you talked to the child that you saved since?
I went to visit him at the hospital, and since he's been released, he's living in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm trying to get in contact with his grandmother, so I can't get a number for him.
Any contact with the rest of the family or anything? I mean, like you said, the grandmother, how thankful they are.
Well, they were very thankful at the hospital when I went to visit him. And I didn't get to talk to him much. He was kind of on medication, so he was kind of in and out of it. But his dad was real thankful for it. And him and his wife came up from Atlanta.
Any warnings to parents about how quickly drownings like that can happen?
Yes. The main thing is to go ahead and contact 911 and get them responding. And that's what I tried to do once I realized what was going on. The quicker you can get help coming, the better off you are. That's it.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you.
The situation Cliff was presented with serves as an outstanding example of the importance of civilians being trained in bystander CPR. We've heard a lot of talk this morning about firearms and firearm safety, and everybody's, we talk a lot about crime. Crime is on everybody's minds. We see it on the 6 o'clock news. You see it, in prime time on a number of television programs that come on any given night of the week, and all that stuff is certainly important. The fact of the matter is you are 26 times more likely to suffer a sudden cardiac arrest than you are to be shot with a firearm, shot and killed. So while we certainly need to be safe, we need to secure our vehicles, secure our firearms. All that stuff is, I don't take any of the importance away from that, but we also need to think of how often, how great your chances are, yourself, a loved one, a friend, of suffering sudden cardiac arrest. About 500,000 people a year die from sudden cardiac arrest in the United States, and of those who suffer sudden cardiac arrest, only about 5% survive. So it's important that folks know CPR. And recent studies show that the thing that everybody was scared of in performing CPR was what we call mouth to mouth, and studies have shown that is not the critical component of CPR. If you call 911, the telecommunicator will coach you in what is known as compressions only CPR. The Winston-Salem Fire Department provides free compressions only CPR classes to the public. We can handle 50 students at the time, no charge. So if you are representing a neighborhood association or a fraternity or sorority or church group, a civic organization, or if you just want to get 10 or 12 of your friends and neighbors together, somebody from the Winston-Salem Fire Department will come out and deliver compressions only CPR free of charge. You can make that request through our fire and life safety educator, Ms. Sabrina Stowe. She can be reached at 336-773-7900. And again, if we can get a bystander to perform good chest compressions for about 8 minutes, I can promise you that 90% of the time the Winston-Salem Fire Department will have a unit on the scene in 7 minutes and 54 seconds or less. So if you can get on the chest and do good compressions for about 8 minutes, somebody will be there to take over for you. So call Ms. Stowe and set up those compressions on the CPR classes. They take about 30 minutes. So it's not something where you've got to spend half a day on Saturday becoming certified in CPR. It's down and dirty, it's quick, and we have you on your way with a skill that you have a pretty good chance of using at some point in your life. The next thing the fire department has up is I'm going to call Assistant Chief Tad Byram. He is our Assistant Chief of Safety and Training. He's going to come up and present some awards to some representatives we have in the audience today, representing 3 of our fire stations who have received multi-year safety awards from the North Carolina Department of Labor. Chief Byram.
Thank you, Chief Mayo. Good morning, everyone. As Chief Mayo said, I'm here to give some awards to 3 of our fire stations today. These are safety awards that were presented by the North Carolina Department of Labor in recognition of some outstanding work that these men and women have done for us. To give you an idea what this is about, this is based on the DART rate. which stands for Days Away, Restricted, and Transferred. So these are based upon injuries that occur at work sites. And they are receiving these awards because they have kept these injury rates lower than the national average for our industry. So that's how these awards are based. Winston-Salem has 19 fire stations strategically located throughout the city for fast response, and 17 of those stations were awarded certificates from the Department of Labor. 13 of them received gold and 4 received silver. First, I want to recognize Fire Station 20. They're located at 5991 Coger Lane. They're in the North Ward, and this is the 5th consecutive year that they've received a gold award. So I want to present this to Captain Heitman.
Thank you.
Good job, Captain.
Thank you.
Second, I want to recognize Fire Station 6. They're located at 1717 West Academy Street. They're in the Southwest Ward. And this is their 7th consecutive year of gold. I'm going to present this to Captain McMillan and his crew.
Thank you.
Good job, Captain. And last but not least, I want to recognize Fire Station 19. Fire Station 19 is our newest fire station. It was built with some of the economic stimulus funding several years ago. They're located in the East Ward at 4430 Glen High Road, and this is their 8th consecutive year of obtaining gold status. And I want to recognize Captain Harbor. And as you know, firefighting is a very hazardous profession. We want to strive to do our best to keep our folks safe, both in the field and at the fire stations. And I want to thank all the men and women that work for the Winston-Salem Fire Department for the wonderful job they've done helping us keep our injury rates low and keeping safe work sites. And I also want to thank the North Carolina Department of Labor for these awards, and I want to recognize the fact that their consultative services division has come in and they have helped us the past year do inspections at all of our facilities to take a look at our policies, our procedures, our work practices, and to make sure we are doing the best job to keep our employees safe. Any questions at this time? Okay, well, thank you very much. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Mel Sadler with our Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Chief Byron. I'm Mel Sadler, Director of Emergency Management for the City of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. We just want to give you a brief preview of next month. September has been declared National Preparedness Month. It has been for several years now. As you may be aware, 9/11, or the upcoming 9/11, will be the 15th anniversary of the original event, so it's been quite a while. But since that time, September has been designated as National Preparedness Month. There will be a number of activities going on both here locally as well as nationally, and we want to bring those to your attention and kind of preview a special event that we're planning for this month, a special announcement that we're planning for this month. With that, we're going to turn the program over to Leah Cordell, who is one of our emergency management coordinators, and she'll give you a little more detail on what's coming up.
Good morning. Like Mr. Sadler said, September is Emergency National Preparedness Month, and we wanted to remind everyone to don't wait, communicate, and make sure your emergency plan is in order today. We want to make sure everyone knows how to get to a safe place, contact each other, and get back together in the event of emergency. We're also going to encourage people to start preparing their emergency supply kit. Some of the things that you need in that kit would be water, 1 gallon per person per day, food, various tools and supplies. Don't forget your special needs for adults and infants. And also don't forget your pets. They also need to have their own disaster preparedness kit. You can get a detailed list of these plans and kits on readyforsyth.org or readynorthcarolina.org. You can download that on your smartphone. You can also get it on readyforsyth.org. You can add the Ready for Scythe web app to your mobile home screen, and don't forget to like us on social media. Also, we'd like to make a special announcement for the month of September. Every Friday throughout the month of September, Ready for Scythe Facebook will be posting trivia questions on their Facebook and Twitter. The first person to answer each trivia question correctly will have an opportunity to win an emergency weather radio. So make sure you check out our Facebook pages and Twitter pages throughout the month of September. And that trivia challenge will take place every Friday throughout the month of September. Are there any further questions for emergency management? Okay, this concludes the City of Winston-Salem August Public Safety Media Briefing. So hope you all have a great day.